I've been looking at some Project Zomboid videos on YouTube and noticed a very obvious gap in the
content market.
Who cares about surviving your first 100 days? Whatever the law of Knox County? What does it matter learning how to self-sustain by drinking water from bleach bottles? No, there are only two questions on people's minds. When is Build 42 gonna be ready for multiplayer? And how do I transform my base into an overly designed but pleasantly agreeable loft with a somewhat fancy view on a gloomy tar street? And while only the whiteboard inside the Indie Stone meeting room knows how to answer the first, we're sure going to answer the second today in...
Interior Designers of the Apocalypse Fire Station Edition.
I'm joined today with my lovely girlfriend Suri, who had never even opened the game before, but more on that later, to teach you how to transform your lawless peasant shack into a beautiful cozy home, 5-star rated on Airbnb and with all the necessary amenities, with a sink and hot water mind you, in a tranquil area and with lovely and pleasant neighbors. So strap in and put on your loony goggles because you're joining an adventure with two goofy-ass players and edited by your lowly servant, me. And let me tell you, I'd never opened Premiere Pro before and this bitch is quite the pain to learn. As like any self-respecting Project Zomboid multiplayer session, the first thing to do is always to browse the workshop tab on Steam for finding as many useful looking mods as possible before ultimately forgetting that you've installed most of them and not understanding what the f*** is happening when you're having an issue and you can't find an answer on Google. So here's the baby boy for you. It's been born quite tall and slightly slimy on the sides. A total of 50 plus mods for you, far from what some of you degenerates are playing with, but still quite the mess for us to navigate. And since we're looking to rent this loft on Airbnb with a premium fee, location is key. After spending far more time than necessary on the Project Zomboid map, we finally landed in Rosewood, famous for its shopping district, I guess? And nothing else actually, since it is the most noob-friendly lowest pop city in the county. Our very own corner of paradise. And with apocalypse settings barely tweaked off we go for our adventure as...
Interior Designers of the Apocalypse Fire Station Edition.
But first, let's dive into the ominous amount of traits available with this little mod, and quickly realize that I haven't played the game in far too long to know whatever the F I'm doing and just clicking on randomize. At the time, my past self quickly skimmed over the fact that Melvin Cavill is an asthmatic, amputated bloke, which I'm sure, after a little moment of reflection, will have absolutely zero impact on his future ability to build things. These are the no time to edit this video times, and I'm landing as first in the very common crouching booty shake position proper to any Project Zomboid player.
Somebody come get her, she's dancing like a stripper.
On my way to looting the bookshelf. Acting like I'll ever get to read Trapping Volume 4. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to find my partner in crime, and while I'm reconsidering my fashion choices, it so happens that I've just heard her zap into existence in, mind you, the exact same house than me. Don't ask questions. And while she takes a moment to find her bearing with this newly loaded game, I express loudly my joy to seeing her here.
Hey, Dark Souls fans. The chosen undead is in serious trouble.
And offers to her to get on her way towards better skies and cozier furniture, which she joyfully accepts before commenting on her own fashion choices.
Does it look like I have nipples? Does it look like you can see my nipples?
Does it? Man, it's pockets, what are you talking about? That's it. We're ready to ball. Pink top amputated patches and nipple distracted Suri. Designers extraordinaire. On their way to smashing their way through a typical cottage garden with a whimsical low-cut grass and beautiful white fences. If you fancy this location, you'll also benefit from a fully functional one-person table with an office chair and the pleasure to watch your kids enjoy a colorful playhouse.
Sold 6150.
Nonetheless, the nonsense, while an honorable location, we're onto the road and through a forest pass on our way to hopefully find our first settlement for the night. That is, without counting our first, none less honorable death from my dear designer partner Suri, in a showing of realization that the zombie neighbors are none too happy about our newfound venture.
Uh-oh, I got bit again. Oh my god, stop it! Oh no! I'm dying! I'm dying! I'm dying! I'm dying! I'm dead. Do you kill me now?
Yeah. And shortly after disposing of my former colleague, I found myself in front of the final boss of any Zomboid playthrough. These goddamn windows! The amputee tray selected at the beginning finally comes back biting my ass. while I very clearly have two functional looking arms on the screen, I am not fully able, pun intended, and can only very slowly drag this body towards the entrance. And finally, to wrap up this day, we'll reminisce about the perfectly functioning gen we found next door and that we never actually came to use. After sleeping in, because we didn't figure out that sleep mode wasn't gonna end automatically, we're having a perfectly nice breakfast composed of beer, dried ramen, and basically everything that was easily accessible in the fridge. And with our bellies somewhat full, we're back on the road, having peered on the Mosaic browser for the available information about Rosewood. Yes, it is 1993, there is the internet. And we decide to get a glimpse at our future base of redesigning operations, the fire station. With a bit of a meet and greet out of the way, I'm soon reminded of my lowly isometric existence, unable to close doors if they're not exactly at the right angle. And I'm soon meeting with the vector of my untimely demise. Some constipated that found it relevant to experience the apocalypse while having a shite.
Why does somebody not know how to flush a toilet after they've had a shit?
That's what I mean.
Well, it was fucking one of yous. Disgusting!
But let's not dilly-dally, we got rooms to search and traffic cones to gather and put right back where they belong, on the floor, because weight is a harsh mistress, especially when you're missing an arm. Up we go!
To infinity and beyond!
After exploring the fire station and confirming that it will make a perfectly fine location for our endeavors, dotted with many rooms that we'll never actually use, such as the room we don't talk about, this weird looking office right there, a bedroom with beds you can't actually reach, and a beautiful non-functioning pole. It's a limp back to the kitchen for Surrey to discover that yes, you can feel other ways than moist in this game.
Oh wow. I only have a bra on. Okay.
And off we go to finding a functional car, because we'll most definitely need a car to carry all the furniture we'll be placing in our loft. Due to the increasing violence of this clip, we'll be showing a documentary on the Mediterranean crawfish instead.
There are many strange and fascinating creatures that inhabit our country's rivers and streams. Some are...
All this violence didn't prevent us from finding our bounty. With no gas, and no with gas, we're speeding through the road in the same manner as speeding through this edit. We're parked, we're upstairs, we're setting up maps on the table. Ah yes, computer. Insert clip of the confidential plans.
We keep the TV space, and we're gonna make all the vine walls, a lot of plants. I love plants.
A lot of plants?
Okay.
Okay.
So we're good.
So yeah, that's the plan. And like any good plan, you can't progress on an empty belly. So obviously I start by setting up rope sheets along the windows. We're out, we're in, we're moving, and we're ready to enjoy one of the most useful aspects of having a car in this game, which consists in splashing as many Zs as possible on an empty parking lot before ultimately exploring the surrounding area, in our case, the supermarket. And to the supermarket we go! I mean, look at this perfectly fine food waiting for us along the aisle. Loot, 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 and a little break at the ice cream machine, because even over the apocalypse, if the ice cream machine is not from McDonald's, it's gonna work.
That's a 10.
While I'm pondering, oh, we're even gonna redecorate anything since we haven't found a sledgehammer and it's already been a good 6 hours since we started, I'm reminded of more earthly contrivances after I just shoved the car into a wall. You said nothing. I mean, perfectly parked the car into the garage. And there we are. As I'm putting aside the food, it dawns on me. We're no closer to getting a sledgehammer. We've got no furniture to show for, merely a notebook plan to go from. No time let it be to edit this whole thing, or to film it. No skills, no knowledge, nothing. This might actually be the end of times. Or is it? Well, Google tells me that no, actually. With just a bit of research and some very non-elaborate admin commands, it happens that you can become very crafty in Project Zomboid. And very fast. Oh, look what just popped in my skill tab. Could it be a divine intervention? And let me tell you, we are popping off faster than Neo smoking speed with a crack pipe.
I know carpentry.
And Suri does too, actually. And would you look at that? A perfectly augmented human.
Perfect organism.
Suri gets a new toy. Alarmingly still nauseous. And we even got a whole building menu available to us. I mean, look at this. We are balling. And who said apocalyptic life was supposed to be hard? And off we go with destroying walls. Or nearly. A couple of misses hereafter. Off we go with actually destroying walls, bookshelves, beds, bedside tables. It's actually quite impressive how quickly Suri learned how to absolutely annihilate half of the future loft. And maybe a bit too much for her own good.
Oh shoot, I think I put a hole in the floor. Oh no! Uh-oh! I was meaning to get the pool table. Oh, did you see me fall down?
Yeah. But this ain't gonna stop her breaking things until the night comes. My health in the morning isn't what it used to be. Hello 30s. But because it's taking ages for me to actually turn, and I'm tired of being braless, literally, we opt for a smoother send-off with a death by
Blanks mass spawning.
To be frank, it did take quite ages. As I'm quickly disposed of, hereafter we're launching again with our new real estate interior designer Benedict Maxwell, and we spawn directly at the fire station since I don't care anymore and I just edited the server.ini files. Back from whence I came, gathering my old stuff back and smoothly moving towards the room we don't talk about to start dumping all the useless shit that would render quite badly on our final loft reveal. In other words, dump it under the bed. Well, I just broke the sink, and you can't spawn things. And I also broke this one, and I'm being a bit worried because there is only one more, and that one's the catch. A few shoveling and paintbrushing later, yeah, we can't move stuff, apparently, after building with the building menu mod. Oopsie. We're already looking much better for our open space, open kitchen, open bar, open access, open market. Here's a quick argument interlude for your privy ears about the positioning of the retainer.
I said a vegetarian, you said grrr. I said, can we joke about this? You said grrr. I don't call that communication. See? That's your answer for everything. Oh my God.
So that's it then for this episode of Interior Designers of the Apocalypse. We will leave you after a quick smoke and with the memories of an adventure a bit out of the ordinary. Without even revealing the final rooms, because who cares about the final rooms? After all, isn't it all about the friends and goddamn Premiere Pro crashes we made along the way? I'm just kidding. Well, let's get a quick look since you're all on your toes. This is the entrance hall. The infamous pole dance reveal.
Down.
It's called the room we don't talk about because we don't talk about the room. I mean, look at this detail right there. We even painstakingly set the table. What a gorgeous kitchen.
Yeah.
And I believe that's it. We can finally relax and enjoy our beautiful loft. It will most likely inevitably burn at an undefined ulterior date, most likely due to a misplaced Molotov cocktail, as things shall happen in Project Zomboid. Well, thanks for following this mess of an edit. It was quite the learning curve since I had zero knowledge of the softwares or anything really. I learned many things about some pitfalls of recording and editing. Hopefully it will be useful for the next one. I know the video was a slog at times, but with valuable lessons learned along the way, I hope you'll tag along for the next and hopefully better following one. Also, if you got advice and recommendations, don't hesitate to share. I'll be pleased to read your feedback. Patches out! Yeah, thumbs up too, but it's hard. Okay. That was so good actually. It was really funny. Okay.